Hello, my name is Randy Helm. In a previous video, we talked about what overbilling and underbilling are in the construction industry. So if you need a refresher, feel free to go watch that video now. Today we're going to talk about what happens to the company's cash when you have an overbilling versus an underbilling. So if you're ready, let's begin. Project managers and engineers spend a lot of time planning out their construction projects, but do they plan out their billing strategy? As the saying goes, failure to plan is planning to fail. The timing and magnitude of the billings can have quite an impact on the cash and profits of a company. If you plan it well, good things can happen. If you don't plan it well, you could be incurring unnecessary expenses. Now let's dig into some details. In a construction job, there are a lot of things that impact the cash position of a company and the overall profit levels. First, let's take a look at the normal cost components of a job. When you accumulate costs, the main categories are labor, materials, subcontractors, and rental charges. There might be other categories of costs, but the main ones are shown here. Based on your specific contract terms, you might be marking up each category by a different markup rate, or you might be using an overall rate. For the purpose of our discussion today, we are going to use one overall rate. Each of these categories may have very different cash flow patterns. Labor is the cost of your actual employees for your company working on the job. It is not the employees working for your subcontractor. A lot of companies will pay their employees either weekly or biweekly. So cash is going out the door regularly, regardless of when you bill the customer and when the customer pays you. Materials might come from your warehouse. A lot of times you are ordering them from a supplier specifically for the job. Most suppliers require that you pay within 30 days. Some might have other payment terms, such as allowing you to pay for all the month's invoices on the 10th of the following month. Some even allow you to take a discount if you pay within 20 days of receiving the product. You should be aware of the terms that might be unusual. There could be cost-saving opportunities. Many subcontractors accept pay when paid terms. This means that you will not have to pay the subcontractor until after you have been paid by your customer. This is the ideal situation. If you do not currently have these terms set up, I would encourage you to start. If you need to bill your customer on a certain date each month, require your subcontractor to bill you 5 or 10 days prior to this date. This will ensure that you can get their invoices reflected in your bills as soon as possible and prevent delays in payment. There are often rental charges from suppliers of various equipment, such as scissor lifts. I have not seen rental companies accept pay when paid terms, so you will need to plan on paying them every couple of weeks or so. For the sake of illustration, let's assume the following. Job contract amount of $1.2 million. Job cost of $1,065,500. So the job profit is $134,500. The markup is 12.6%. So the margin is 11.2%. The customer retainage is 10%. And the subcontractor retainage is also 10%. Down below, I'm going to show the approximate timing of when cash is paid out for these different cost categories. First is the labor. In case you were wondering, the assumption here is that the employees are paid weekly, 1 week in arrears. Next, let's populate the cost pattern for materials. Based on an assumption of paying in 30 days, we show the cash flow 1 month after the cost hits. Let's skip subcontractors for the moment and go to rental charges. The cash outflow pattern is similar to materials, 1 month after the charges. Okay, back to the subcontractors. Here are the charges. With these subs, there is a retainage portion that will not get paid until the end of the job. So the cash outflows are a little different. we assume that we will pay the non-retainage portion in the following month. If the customer is slow to pay you, that would push out your payment to the sub. For now, we assume no delays. Down below, this line shows the monthly cash outflows without the impact of billings. The next line shows the cumulative cash outflows job to date. Now let's see what happens when we strictly bill based on what was earned according to the accounting records. In the first month, our job cost is $28,000. When you apply the markup, the bill becomes $31,354. The customer will pay us the non-retainage portion in the following month. In the next month, the amount earned is $35,476. Again, the customer pays the non-retainage portion in the following month. Let's go ahead and populate the rest of the bills based on this pattern. Our last normal bill is in month 9. The customer pays us the retainage in month 11 after all checklist items have been satisfied. Now that we have received final payment from our customer, we can pay the subcontractor their final payment. In this scenario, we have billed the contract amount of $1.2 million. Our costs show as $1,065,500 and a profit of $134,500. Down at the bottom, you can see what the monthly and job-to-date cash flow has been for this job. In the first month, we were out of pocket $2,250. In month 2, we went out of pocket another $5,369 for a job-to-date total of $7,619. You can see that from a job-to-date basis, we do not become cash positive until month 9, near the end of the job. Graphically, it looks something like this. Unfortunately, this is common in the construction industry. If your company uses a line of credit with the bank to fund operations, you will pay interest expense when the cash flow is negative. The two things you should think about are: 1, you will be using your availability on your line of credit, and 2, you will be incurring interest expense charges during this time. Now let's change the billing pattern. In month 1, instead of billing $31,534, we will bill the customer $40,000. In month 2, instead of billing $35,476, we bill $45,000. Already you can see a difference in the net cash flow. Let's continue the billing in this fashion for the duration of the job. The overall billing pattern is not very different. It has just moved a little from before. But by making the slight change in the billing, your cash position changes dramatically for most of the job. The net cash position during the job has definitely improved. So what are the key takeaways? If you bill on time, as you earn the revenue, you will tend to have negative cash for most of the job. This can use up your line of credit and cost you more in interest expense. If you bill ahead of the cost, you potentially can reduce or eliminate the borrowing of funds. Consider charging your customer at the time you order large ticket items, not downstream when those items are installed. If you have installed a section of the job, bill for it, even if the accounting system is lagging behind. These scenarios are based on the customer paying in 30 days. If your customer actually takes longer to pay, the negative cash will grow, and the interest expense will also grow. So keep that in mind. You will not always be able to bill ahead. Part of this will be based on your contract terms and your relationship with the customer. But when you can, you should. This will help the bottom line. Thank you, and have a good day.